to work on some compassion projects, which means it doesn't get tested and someone needs it like now.
To develop a package and go out to the grocery store and see it on a shelf, but
Cool
to
too.
know that it's immediately being flown across the country to be used in a potentially life-saving procedure, that's a different kind of magic right there.
It's so easy to get pigeonholed into one industry, but I find that there's those of us who cross-pollinate. Drawing on vast experiences just gives you that depth. We do internal workshops within our own group and cross-educating each other all the time.
I think this is unique. I've not talked to anybody else who's got this kind of a organization going.
Everyone talks about solopreneurs and things like that. Well, that's great. I commend folks, but honestly, you cannot do this alone. That's right. Never burn your bridges. The biggest lesson.
Definitely don't.
And it's not just 6 degrees of separation. It's like coming down to 1 and 2 now.
The only Tijuana story I have, we're not going to tell on this podcast.
I would say, I'm not sharing any of those stories.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Packaging Speaks. I'm your host, Christian, and I'm really excited to be here this week with Lauren LaSpina. Lauren, among other things, is the founder of the Packaging Co-op and has about 25 years of experience packaging everything from cosmetics to medical devices. Hi, Lauren. How are you?
Good. How are you doing today, Christian?
I'm awesome. It's really great to connect with you in this format.
Likewise.
Yeah, we've obviously known each other for a long time, though communication may have been slightly sporadic over the years. Really think that you should have a lot of insights to share with other packaging engineers out there. So I guess if it's all right with you, we'll get right into it, Lauren. How did you find packaging? Is that something you knew you were going to get into when you were going to college, or how did we
No,
get
it was
here?
something I tried to avoid at all costs necessary. I wanted to do anything but packaging because it was a family business. So you start when you're really young, right? As soon as you can hold an X-Acto knife and get put to work with a score tool, right?
Okay.
Or even a slide rule back then. No, I wanted to go into medical, so I desperately was trying to do some hours on Long Island to do physical therapy or surgical PA. Went into the PA program, try to find physical therapy. Got through that, and they said, it's really not a good fit. Try industrial engineering. Great. So human factors, here I come. 4 years later, I decided at that moment, after finishing off 90% of the program, I moved over to packaging. So inevitable. It was a boomerang effect. I came back to it. So stuck around RIT for another 2 years and graduated with a degree from there as well.
And your degree at RIT, actually, I've talked to a couple of folks about career development and early on how they did an internship or they did 2 internships. Looks like you did 4?
5. So there's always 5. A family one mixed in there too. As soon as the summer came around, I went up working for folks I'm still working with today. Great family, the Utleys down in Sunnyside, New York. They moved over. It was a comp house, so I actually was creating comps. For folks that don't know what comps are, it's a model that gets photographed back in the day for magazine shoots or now for all web-based material, social media, things like that. So you actually have to create them by hand because the actual product is still in inception. So worked for them for as long as I could while doing summers at Stony Brook University, trying to get ahead, and then started every chance I could just go on a co-op because who wants to stick around Rochester in the winter?
I've never been to Rochester in the winter, but I can imagine.
Michigan gray.
Yeah. But even back, certainly the number of internships that students are doing has been going up over the years. I'd say the average right now is 2, where it was 1. When I first came into the industry in the early 2000s, I think a lot of folks were only doing 1. Was it just personal motivation and you wanted to get out there?
Personal motivation for sure. Money's a driving factor because, college students, we all had to scrape and get by in the fast food work and we had to do. It was definitely motivational because I felt like if the more exposure you got in industry, the more likely you're going to graduate with a job. And
100%.
Back then, I know RIT was really, that's why I went to RIT, not just because of RIT programs, but because of that co-op program. Because back then, very few schools were offering it. So going through the interview process, landing a real job, then moving away, like doing all those big grown-up things back then really kind of created a great foundation. So, and having a little bit of medical on there helped me get out the door.
No doubt about it.
I'd say for folks, it's really important to do that.
I've been recruiting for, 20 years this month now. It's almost exactly 20 years since I started at PackStaff. And I've maybe known half a dozen packaging engineers that had a co-op all 4 years they were at school. I mean, it's done. It's not common, but when you see it, it's definitely, oh, there's a nice variety of experience. Let's try to snatch that candidate up. It's not
Absolutely.
often recent grads have negotiating power, but in that case, you may have. I don't know. So graduated from RIT, and then was it straight into cosmetics?
I did. That was my last quote unquote co-op. I had to go through a very stringent interview with a woman who is fantastic. She's out of packaging now. She's into communications, and went up working there for 4 years. I will say that's probably it was the most crazy job I've ever been in. Besides living at home and commuting into New York, which is it's really not fun for anyone, even if you're from there. But part of the adventure. But worked there for quite a while and just moved around from Lancome luxury perfumes to cosmetics to body care, lotions, and so forth. So a good variety
Right.
of things,
A
if
lot
you
of
will.
a lot of rigid plastics, caps, closures,
Yes,
pumps.
spent a lot of time. I somehow always got stuck with injection molding or extrusion blow molding. Plastics and I seem to always kind of fall in hand. I'm really good at it and I like doing it, so kind of made for a nice marriage there going forward. So I pretty much concentrate on the plastic side of things, just helping marketing bring their creative idea, insane idea sometimes to
Right.
life, right? Marrying them with the vendors and qualifying molds and travel
At
around.
that point, at that point, were you involved in the ideation process, or marketing came
Mhm.
to you and they already kind of had something?
Sometimes both. It depends on the person, but yes, it was fun. We actually had some studio set time during commercial shoots and using some of your products in there, and just when they started knowing what you're capable, they start collaborating with you. But again,
Right.
it's marketing. They have, if L'Oreal, everything's run through Paris back then, so there was some, I would say, some flexibility on your creativity, but very limited.
Okay.
Yeah,
What? I mean, sounds like a pretty dynamic environment, exciting place to be.
I think
How?
if you can make it in cosmetics, you can do anything. You
Well,
can
yeah. I mean, fast paced. I know it's cutthroat. I know, you know. But what pulled you out of that environment?
My very first interview um, was with Jane Severin, who everybody knows, and it was
Yeah.
back in the day, I believe, with Edwards. And I wanted in for medical device back then. She's like, "You have no medical device experience," even though I was at a co-op with GSK back in the day. It was Glaxo Wellcome back then,
Yep.
doing pharma, so inhalers and other things of that nature. So I was not applicable. So that's why I took the L'Oreal, route and thought I'd stay there for a while, and you know, go through burnout phases. But now it's Medtronic came knocking and came up to me and said, "Hey, we've got this opening. We have a 483 going on." And I'm like, "What's a 483?" And they said, "We need your assistance. We haven't had a packaging engineer over 20 some odd years. Can you come help us?" So jumped at the opportunity. Spent some time over in Europe between the two jobs there, which was a lot of fun, and came back over. And I was actually bouncing back and forth between Basel and Boston back then. Then I started working at Medtronic in their extrusion group, under the folks, and they didn't even know what to do with a packaging engineer. And I kept getting floated around, to various groups. Went up landing in the Lean Sigma, so back to the industrial engineering roots, and started working a
Mhm.
lot with Lean Sigma. So not just packaging, we went up doing anything and everything, because in the manufacturing environment, you just have to be flexible and just jump in where you can. And I don't like sitting still, so I just took the advantage of learning new things, right? I mean, packaging is, packaging you learn and you keep understanding more and more of it. But how it integrates into the environment and manufacturing is something special, especially, with medical devices. I mean, it's very different coming from cosmetics, high runs. Even in the luxury group, you're still running at a higher volume than you do in med device, where a lot of
Mhm.
things are hand assembled. You have to qualify a lot. The whole world of IQ, OQ, PQ exists beyond what you know in CPG world, mold qualifications and line trials. This is like you have to document everything.
Yeah.
So a big learning curve. Spent a lot of time there, and the group there was so gracious enough. They brought in John Spitzley and site, and he taught me ISO 11607-1 and -2, and I think it was just rolling out or just coming out at that point in time. what he and Kurt Larson were working on that. So it was great to learn from him. Obviously, I mean, everybody
Yeah.
in packaging in the medical space knows, his reach and his depth of knowledge. So it was fantastic. I mean, just absolutely, I can never repeat that kind of training, but it was really fun actually. And those colleagues of mine to this day, we're still working on programs in other companies and stuff. So what we've been through was great, but some of the programs, what really was really cool is got to work on some compassion projects, which means it doesn't get tested and someone needs it like now. It's either this or
Hmm.
death, the alternative. So I got to work on those programs and bring them to fruition. And I don't know how the patient turned out, unfortunately, but it was really cool to see that what you actually did, what you created, what you helped do that day, went out for sterilization and got on a plane and got flown to the UK
Yeah.
and was used in an OR that afternoon. So I would say, very unique experience there. And then, of course,
I mean, it's
thereafter,
one thing to develop a package and go out to the grocery store and see it on a shelf, but
it's cool
to
too.
know that
Right.
it's immediately being flown across the country to be used in a potentially life saving procedure, that's a different kind of magic right there.
I know. Back then this is before I think HIPAA is what it is today, and it was
Okay.
awesome. I went with a lot of sales folks, and then we called it case chasing. And the stuff you saw in the field, like being in the OR, watching how they actually interact and what the surgeons do and how speaking with the nurses. And I would go with the sales guys, and the nurses were the ones that come up to you and have thousands of inputs, mostly negative,
Sure.
about how they hate your package, but that's to be that's to
Yeah.
be part of it. But for the most part, getting their feedback is so priceless, and understanding how and what they go through in different surgeries, and the
Hmm.
speed at which they have to work, or they're grabbing and reading labels and just interacting with devices. And then now with the evolution of, aseptic presentation, that you go back to those, mindful moments, from back then. And they were back then as no different as today, but now we just have a term around it, and it's being more, I would say, prevalent when we do qualifications. So it
Right.
was really cool. So anytime anyone can get into an OR or procedure, if it's possible these days, it's invaluable to get that kind
Hmm.
of exposure, I will say.
Sure.
And that was the last time.
Understanding how people actually use your package
Exactly.
should influence the way you design it, and
I know. You go into
especially in an environment where handling the product is complicated and there's high pressure.
Mhm.
Yeah, I can see that being incredibly valuable.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, the stressful moments. And then now as you go into the doctor's office, you get wheeled into surgery and you're looking around, you're like, I wonder if that's sterilized. I hope that's not like, I hope there's no recall on that. You're going through all those minds. Like, I
Right.
hope I know who did the packaging on that. It's kind of comical. We all joke about that.
As a non-technical person, I don't look at packaging quite that way. I wonder if that's been sterilized properly. But my wife recently had a procedure, and we spent it was an outpatient thing, and I definitely took notice of the amount of packaging that went straight into the trash bin.
Hmm. That's
There's an
interesting.
awful lot of garbage being taken out of hospitals in this country.
Mm. Yes, yes. Always chasing the sustainability, but in medical, it's like, that could be a whole nother podcast. We can discuss that at some
I'm
point in time. I
sure it
know it's
could,
a
and
favorite
maybe it
topic
could
for
be.
many folks. But
So was that all? Was that all Medtronic, or was that also some of United Plastics?
so after Medtronic, they were closing that facility and just downsizing, and that was good old 2008. I think a lot of us went through that kind of roller coaster in the in
Hmm.
the economic world. I wound up then taking an opportunity. I turned down a few
You
opportunities.
were actually downsized at Medtronic.
Yes, I was let go, and end of December. Most of us, if we made it through the first week, you were good for another 30 days, and somebody else, it was just a ticking time bomb.
Okay.
Um, so most of us moved on from there. Actually, if not all of us have moved on, and I was going to go take a job with Raytheon down the street, which would have been really cool. One of those that I wish I did take, that
Hmm.
the subway for medical, go down and try doing military and defense.
Yeah.
But I took a job with Covidian at that point. I flew out before the IPO, or I should say the acquisition. So and I joined Covidian. So then I was out here in Colorado. I moved out here. We have family out here, and we had a bike manufacturing company. So on your off days, you're working and you're also working during 9 to 5, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Mhm.
Just family fun. And then with them, I was working mostly down in Tijuana. We're just helping facilities a lot with pulse oximeters, RMS. Again, learning some
Okay.
really cool things. Going through any training, doing innovations. They let you really play on the dummies. It was a great group there. We had a lot of folks on both sides, EBD and RMS. And then after that, then I took a job with UPG, which got bought by MedPlast, and now MedPlast got bought by Viant Medical. I just found out recently. Just met a woman over there, so it's supplier quality. So I was running around the globe doing quality um, remediation for products, mostly medical. So
So
again,
now some of you regrets not taking that defense job. What
as I was stepping
do you remember how you made the decision at the time?
to not take the Raytheon job, and that was
Yeah.
I it was a very stiff competition. I was against a lot of PhDs, I will say, and I don't know how. I must have just interviewed, again with a variety of background. And I always tell folks coming into packaging, like, it's so easy to get pigeonholed into one industry, and it's scary to start and pivot into a new industry. But I find that there's those of us who cross pollinate. It's a rare breed, I say, but for the most part, I think people like that, you kind of start learning and cross pollinating your experience. And I feel like you are more attractive as a candidate to be in that position because
That's interesting.
not a one trick pony, and I think drawing on vast experiences just gives you that depth. It gives you something else to talk about in an interview. I mean, not to say going from one medical company to the next is a bad thing. I mean, everyone's got their, I would say it depends on the person, right, and the personality
Sure.
and their degree of what they want to do. I mean, everyone's always unique in their decisions, but I find that some of us and like those who have joined, our group here today, like I look back and everyone's got a very, I would say, speckled background. They've done
Hmm.
many different things, different industries, different jobs, different titles, and I think I think it's a special thing. To make the decision, though, I think it came down to money, to be honest, and also, I mean, Colorado and Boston. I was like, all right, it's time to leave Boston, though. One of my favorite places to live and be. Spent a lot of good time there. But coming out to Colorado, I made that decision because it was time to come out here, spend some
Okay.
time with family. And that was it. And I'm glad I did because from a family perspective, it was the right move. Got to spend some good quality time with that. And then, of course, spent some time here with Covidian and then moved on to UPG. And UPG was on the road like 70% of the time, mostly in Tijuana. Spent too many months in Tijuana. But running a
The
group
only
down.
Tijuana, excuse me, the only Tijuana story I have, we're not going to tell on this podcast.
I would say, oh, I'm not sharing any of those stories. I spent more time in Mexico my whole career, and none have been on a beach.
Yeah.
There's so many stories, but yeah, thereafter, I wound up coming back and taking a job with White Wave, and then that was before their IPO, and then I got moved over to the Dean Foods Group, and that will say was probably one of the toughest realms because again, I left medical and I was doing supplier quality medical. Then I went to soy milk and almond milk and like yogurts and stuff. And I'm like, this is totally new. But again,
Hmm.
everything boils down to the fundamentals. The team there was amazing, great group, large group. And then when the IPO split off, they started, I guess, signing us to the different groups based on our experience and who can handle what. So I got the Dean Foods Group, which is always a challenge. It's 138 dairies back then across the country and doing some really hard engineering projects, which was great.
Sure.
And management and got exposure to the C-suite back then. But yeah, that was a really good exposure to the injection molding and EBM back then from an engineering perspective, stuff that you don't learn in school, and how to actually implement those programs and work with folks at all over the country in various capacities and disciplines. So really fun. And I say that fun. It's always what you put into it, right? It's you put in what you get out of it, or you get out what you put
Yeah.
into it. So,
Well,
yep.
that's
Yeah,
like a lot of things. Well, it's almost everything in life, right?
right. So those
So,
folks are still, everyone is still in touch. It's great because full circle, I'm working with them again. So I guess my biggest, I would say the biggest thing I can give to tell folks is this industry is so small. Every time we turn around, I feel like we know someone, and it's not just 6 degrees of separation. It's like coming down to 1 and 2 now because the longer you're in
yes.
it, the more you move around, that cross pollination is going to happen. But then you start, working again with the same folks, and they're moving around, and I haven't seen that in many other disciplines, to be honest. I mean, I see it in some other small engineering, but packaging it's special that way, and it's funny how we all know somebody from someplace, whether it's in the supplier realm or if it's an OEM or if it's in the
Right.
quality in the
Uh,
quality.
I don't see that changing.
Mm-mm.
The number of people in the packaging, in the technical packaging space. I mean, the number of schools that are offering the programs are going
Yep.
up. There's more and more post graduation, continuing education options out there. I do think the industry is growing, but it still has that
Mm-hmm.
small feel to it, no doubt about it. Everywhere I go, it's just people one after another. So
That's right. Never burn your bridges. The
no,
biggest lesson,
definitely don't.
biggest lesson, just because you will work with those people again. It's not if, it's when, right?
Yes, yes, and if this project didn't go great, the next one might go fine. You don't want to. You absolutely do not want to burn bridges in this small space.
That is true.
Um, and I mean, it seems to me like you're an expert in maintaining relationships. After Dean Foods, you kind of started going off into the consulting space, right?
I did, and it's funny because everyone that's my age, our parents are like, no, just stay, go get a job at Merck, stay there 30 years, retire, get a pension. I'm like, what's that? And
Yeah,
then I go to consulting, and both my parents own their businesses, both very successful. My dad's he's done so much in the packaging industry, unbeknownst to many of us, but he's like, when when it's time to step out, when it's time to just start doing your own thing. And I said, all right, well, here's a bridge that would help me to test the water, so to speak. And I joined Adept, worked with them, and it was great. I mean, again, those folks, they're with me now, a lot of them, just learning and working with uh, other disciplines. And I'll say that, the variety of clients that we brought in, and, cultivating and working into that management position and trying to help folks also do the same thing, grow into their roles, become consultants, become better engineers. That kind of was I would say, the stepping stone. So when I did step into my own role where I am now today, it was seamless. It really was. It was right during COVID too, which everyone's like, holy cow. But when there's a need and someone has a need, and you just, again, dive right in, give 110% every time you can, you're going to fare well. You're going to get out exactly what you put into it. So if you put in that
right.
110%, you're going to be successful. It's not easy, and doing it is never easy, but that's why you need friends. You need friends in good places. You need those, relationships. Keeping those relationships, going out of the way to make them happen, cultivate them, keep up with them. That's probably the hardest thing, is maintaining relationships. But and so forth, just have
You
to.
have to be deliberate about it, and it's easy to let those things slip to the back of your mind.
Absolutely, it's
You know,
always hard.
if it's not an urgent need, if it's not something that's right in front of you, it's easy to let that go. But people are like anything else. You got to talk to them. You got to maintain
Yep,
that
yep, absolutely. And those are,
preventative maintenance, right?
yeah, lessons you learn every day. Like, you can always do something better. I mean, that's the whole thing. Like, every day is going to be better than the next. You just keep trying to, chip
Right.
away at the block, do it better, keep doing better. So, and I'll say this is year 5. So I can't believe, I look back, I'm like, I can't believe it's been 5 years. It feels like it's been like 5 minutes. Um,
Right.
every year it's been just a huge growth step. And
Now,
it's amazing.
this is year 5. It's year 5 for the packaging workshop and the packaging co-op, correct?
Correct.
And
They
those
both,
are both still entities.
correct. Absolutely.
Okay.
So
Talk to us about those.
the co-op, was founded by myself and Jeff Johnson. We decided that doing anything together is better than doing it alone. And everyone talks about solopreneurs and things like that. Well, that's great. I commend folks, but you cannot do this alone. You cannot be a sole founder. I mean, companies didn't start, just with one person, and they did it all by themselves. No, they cultivated a team. They started, mending those relationships to help them be successful. So we
Right.
said, other folks have natural talents. We all have talents. What are we good at? And in a consulting role, so many times you get an opportunity that you can service, but then the client's like, well, what if you're out sick? What if you're, you have to go travel. Who's your backup? What if I need another service? You're good at one thing, but I really need something that's more like, B and C in the criteria realm. So we decided that's doing it together. So, becoming a group with each of our own expertise, we can actually offer that to clients. When I go out and somebody needs backup, I'm there. I can help them, and vice versa. If I'm traveling and someone can step up and at least answer questions or keep that client engaged, so the client's not feeling out there, alone. I mean, many times, these opportunities, they're not just a come in one and done. Sometimes they are, but for the most part, that relationship goes back to the relationship. And the more you interact with them, the more you help them understand how the added value we can bring to their business, they too see how successful they can be with us as their
Right.
functional packaging group. And many of us don't even have packaging as a primary expertise. We've got folks in the quality group, supply chain, logistics, sterilization, regulatory, molding, injection molding, actual design, like engineering,
And this is
hardware
this is the
engineering.
co-op you're talking about, right?
That co-op. Correct. So
Yeah.
everyone there is there because they wanted to be their own independent. They love the variety. They love to have dictate the projects they work on. They like we like working together. That's the first and foremost. Many of us have been doing it for many years, and we naturally just work well. So when we sit
You,
with clients, we can offer them all this expertise, and it's not just one person. And I hate to say that camaraderie does speak for itself for the co-op, and each person is their own entity because they want to control their own business. So that's it becomes more of a
your
co-op
entity then
setting.
is the packaging workshop inside. Right.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. So everyone's their own LLC. And at some point, maybe things will change. As we grow, we're changing and growing too. And as the group's getting bigger and larger, the needs are going to change. So
Sure. Are you pooling
like,
resources to do things like healthcare?
we are entertaining that. And every year comes up and we meet a lot. We meet continuously. We run the Slack program. So all of us are in touch constantly, especially globally. We have some folks overseas as well. And we constantly talk about healthcare. Eventually, it'll come. I think it definitely will come. Some of us are fortunate enough to have spouses doing it. Some of us don't, but
Sure.
it's going to be there, and it's going to be. I mean, it's a requirement once you get to a certain tax bracket. And of course, when you get to that many folks in the organization, you're required.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. Yeah, learning.
As a sole proprietor, it certainly was exciting when my wife decided to go back to teaching, and we did not have to fly
benefits.
that anymore.
That's
Game
that is
changer.
the highlight. That is the highlight. But there's ways. So a lot of folks that do come, the folks that do join the group, and it's not for everybody because again, it's different. It's not.
Invite only, right?
I'm sorry.
It's invite only, isn't it?
Invite only. Yeah, right. With high recommendations right now, yes, it is invite only because the folks they're there now today. They want to be there, and they're really good at it, and they love what they do. That's the passion. They love to
Mm-hmm.
do package consultation or quality consultation or just help the client. And you can see that that's what's first. It's not about the monetary aspect. That's always second or third, but the problem itself, coming to the table with a solution and helping that client, be successful in implementing that solution, or doing a ratification or a remedy or getting them out of a situation. That is the gratifying part of it. But yeah, I will say most folks, they just really enjoy it. So a lot of them though have never done an LLC before. So we coach
Sure.
folks, and through our experience, and many of us, myself, have been doing it a while, and those that are there now have been doing it a lot longer than myself with a lot more experience. They're there and they support. So we support one another. How to best, ask the right questions for your CPA, or how to best, structure your taxes, how to best set up your program. So there's a lot of not, going at it again, not alone, just besides reading the IRS website, talking to somebody else who's
That's
been doing it. It's huge.
that's a webinar we should come back and do.
We could.
Here's an afternoon seminar of how to talk to your accountant and how to do the best you can with your taxes. And
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a packaging technical person, but I mean, I could use that kind of information as a packaging recruiter. I'm sure there are more advantageous things I could be doing with the way our, my office payments are structured and all that stuff.
Mhm.
I don't ask those questions. I just kind of recruit and send information off to somebody else, and they handle it for me.
Absolutely. Yes. So yes, and then we're evolving. Of course, we're changing structures, internally as we speak, just to again support the growth and the
Mm-hmm.
demands, the needs. Education for us is important too. So getting out there, going to the conferences, meeting with clients face to face, and you have to
It's
plan for those things. So it's part of the program. So
it seems like a route into a sweet spot that I've got a
hmm
lot of people looking for.
hmm
Right? They want flexibility, they want autonomy, but they don't want to totally be alone. I don't want to
right.
totally step out on that branch. What if it breaks? But if I've got some, I've got a little help here, and I got an expert here, and somebody knows how to do an LLC over there, uh,
Yeah.
that's
It's not
pretty
even just.
slick.
It is. And the best part is, for instance, I'm sitting here speaking with a client on a program, and you get a question out of left field. I'm like, well, give me 5 minutes. Let me tap 15 people, and I will get a response because
And a good response.
somebody's going to know, and trustworthy
Right.
response. So from a technical perspective, the multi-layering of expertise, it's fantastic.
And the quality control and not letting anybody in. You've got to know what you're doing before you can be in the circle.
yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, that's pretty slick. I'm not aware of. There are a lot of solutions out there. There are definitely a lot of packaging consultants out there. There are a lot of people trying to make it work on their own one way or another. And and of course there are the adepts and the pack foras and all of those places. But I think this is unique. I've not talked to anybody else who's got this kind of a organization going.
Yeah, it's
And I know
like
a
a law
lot of
firm.
people who would love to be part of something like that. That's
Absolutely,
pretty
it's like a
great.
law firm structure. So yeah, we will be. I mean, we're going to grow. I mean,
Yeah,
it's inevitable, and it's fantastic, and the team's growing and things like that. So it's fabulous to see when we can sit there and offer more than just one aspect of a talent. You can
right.
give many folks with many talents, and feasibility labs and people that understand the structure and design, and it's really amazing the amount of knowledge depth, and then just the thirst of continuating. I mean everybody on the team wants to continue their education because again, consulting, you don't just stop learning. I mean, we do it because we love the variety, and I know we go into companies and we don't necessarily want to sit there and be the staffing. We're not competition with staffing agencies. Longer term contracts do come and go,
Hmm.
but we like to get in there, help, fix a problem most often. That's why folks find us, or help design something in the beginning to not have a problem, to alleviate problems, because we've seen so many different programs and projects over the years. We can draw and give that advice to our audience. And it's something that you're never going to read on the internet. It's something that ChatGPT is not going to give you. It's something from that we've done personally through our own experience, whether it's physically going out and doing it, whether it's on a line, creating, the 3D printing, creating the actual package and testing it, or creating, a filing, so to speak. That stuff you just can't, the knowledge and depth of experience you can't just get from AI these days either. I
Right.
know that's always going to be a challenge, and that'll be another podcast, I'm sure, but the talent, you can't replace that. You can't replace the experience. And I think it's beneficial for organizations, because they reap the benefit. They definitely reap, not just getting one thing done. All of a sudden it's like, hey, there's something else that we saw on the way in, can we fix that for you as well? And then, again, the relationships start building, and the work
Hmm.
itself proves through. And I feel like it's just a great snowball, and we're just getting started. So
So, I mean, it sounds like clients are coming really from all over the place, and then of course
oh
you've
yeah.
got everybody's got their own networks and they're bringing in their own things. Business that you are bringing into the packaging workshop or into the packaging co-op, um, is it primarily repeat business? Are they primarily people that you've met over the 25 years you've been in the industry? Are they finding you online? How much of it's your network and how much of it is people you've never heard of before?
Oh my gosh, it's funny 'cause someone just said that the other day, like, you're not advertising or do anything. I'm like, no, we are. We're going to start doing that. But it's all referrals, because
Yeah.
we've been fortunate enough, because good work just, speaks for itself. and it comes from all over. It really does. It's word of mouth. It's just people talking with folks, attending, unique environment, unique conferences, going not to the standard conferences, getting out there, meeting folks, play on the networks, right? And then just building from there. Some folks come in with, I would say, a product, they want to bring to market and inception, and that's not a place that most people can go to a larger firm and get the support they need. Two reasons. One, funding is always a challenge, right? But being small and nimble, we're flexible, and we understand how to get folks from inception or concept through in the inception phase all the way through commercialization. And we've leveraged some really great partners along the way that fill the gaps into, say, for instance, distribution or some of the art realms of, the graphics and the 3D renderings. Anything that we don't have the expertise in house, we have established that's outer ring where we know who to go to. So people do find us by word of mouth, but mostly because we really care about folks and we want to help see them be successful, and I guess it's just part of our nature as a group entirely. We're just looking to help and share the knowledge, essentially. I mean, that's what it comes down to, right? We've done it before. Don't make the same mistakes. Let us help you not make this same costly mistakes. I mean, we've got one client that came in, he already spent all his money on patents in a previous firm that didn't deliver. So now we had to take 3 steps back and walk him through the pure engineering of it, really doing even mold flow designs and things of that nature to bring his idea to market. So, and then we already have established the back end of that from the distribution part of it. So it's really fun to see it. It's ours. We get to create that space. We get to have that choice, right?
Yeah. So my next question is going to be, what's next? Obviously you've established this great career, and you've got a growing organization. Um, it sounds, from where I'm sitting, what's next is more of the same and growth in this
It
this
is. It
company
is.
that you've started.
It is. We're definitely going to keep doing more of the same. We've got a few things in the hopper to come. I'm not going to say too much now just yet because it's still in the genie's still in the bottle.
Right.
I do have. One of my other, I would say, hobbies. I work with another company on the side too, here local in Colorado, and it plays on my background of industrial engineering and process improvement and things. So, I've been working with them on systems engineering. I've done a couple of talks already about that one, and it's crazy because once you understand it and see it in its entity, it makes so much sense. So bringing that over to the medical side of things, using packaging as another vehicle to bring those applications and ideas to whether it's CPG, industrial, or it could be healthcare, could be anything, to start mapping out and tracing requirements and benefits and so forth. That's kind of what's coming next. So
Sure.
that's always growing. Right
Yeah.
now, it's with the AOD and DOD groups,
I think
but
it was. I think it was this morning. I read an article. I didn't actually read the whole article. I saw an article. I don't have. I should probably fix that. I don't have a subscription to Packaging Digest, but they had an article out this latest episode or this latest edition that was about using the perspective of medical packaging and how it is people are starting to try to use it more in the food industry.
yeah,
And there was somebody from I don't know if it was from what conference it was. Ah, shoot, I shouldn't have even brought the article up because I
that's
can't
okay.
cite it. But there was a person who had given a presentation at a medical packaging forum, and was talking about how, this, as the term you used, cross pollination earlier, and
Mhm.
how it can really be seen from a fresh lens and as a fresh idea in the food space, even though maybe it's been used in medical for years or decades.
So everything in medical went up in the incinerator. So maybe we should try going the other way.
Right.
No, we should look at the way things are, go back. Some of us have, come a long way from the reusability standpoint, it's like Tupperware from the 70s, all this plastic back then really didn't exist, but now it's in everything. You go down the grocery aisle, I feel like there's so much packaging, so many things. So I know there's a lot of sustainability initiatives out there right now, and I think personally, medical needs to start queuing in that realm from, from the CPG
Sure.
element of it, because the LCAs, if we started truly mapping and understanding the where it's spent and how we can recycle and cultivate it,
Uh,
we start actually drilling down, we can actually probably do more than what we say we can do.
right. And I imagine, I mean, EPR laws, that's going to impact medical, right? That's not just for consumer companies.
That is the question to be answered. I know it's
Oh,
hitting hazmat as we speak in
okay.
certain elements in the industrial space. They're definitely getting hit because I've seen them. They're filing right now. We're working with some folks doing that, and it's just a matter. It'll be interesting to see how that really unfolds. And
Develops.
I'm not going to say much of it because that's not my area of expertise. There's somebody else in the group. That's their expertise. And when I need something
EPR?
in EPR,
Okay.
yes,
Okay.
we all know enough to do. We do internal workshops within our own group and cross educating each other all the time, so
Awesome.
we can benefit and from other folks' research. And that is
Yeah.
one of the that I'll tap somebody else for.
Great.
But we'll
Okay.
see. Yeah,
Well, I mean, it sounds like if I had a packaging issue, the packaging co-op is the place to go.
it
Uh,
is. I would say getting out there, getting more involved, and we're sitting on more boards. Many of us sit on the ISO boards, ASCM boards, ISTA, MedTech Women. We're everywhere, and anytime there is a challenge that folks have, or even if they just have questions and they just want a good, honest answer, they can reach out. And if there's a project to be had, sure, we can dive into that. And we just hopefully we just keep on growing and growing. And packaging is here. I mean, it's a $3 trillion business, right? So
yeah,
it's part of everything. It's every day, everything we come into contact every day. So it's here for the long haul. So we have to
absolutely.
be aware of that. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball, but again, hard work and everything. And hopefully the new folks out there graduating, they find a good space to start learning and cultivating their experience, because maybe one day they can join us.
Right? Yeah. Awesome. Lauren, this has been great. I think we got a lot of good information, not only from a career development perspective, but from a packaging expertise perspective. It sounds like you've got a very successful company going. Congratulations on your successful and growing still career. I look forward to obviously continuing to keep in touch over the years, though I don't think we'll be recruiting you into a full time package development job anytime soon or ever. Certainly love to keep the industry expertise connection going
Absolutely.
and looking for ways to collaborate in the future.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. Yes, this
thanks so much for your time. Is there something else you really feel like, Lauren, you should share with the world today that the packaging industry would really benefit from?
oh just I guess I'll leave one quick nugget here. I have
Yeah.
a couple of nephews going through college right now. I have 20 nieces and nephews, just on one side alone, and they always call for advice. Just ask questions, roll up your sleeves, get dirty, get as much information, put as much into it as you possibly can into your job, especially early on in the career. Don't rely on the technology around you. You really need to start asking questions, ask the experts, get into the plants, get on the floors, like really get the hands on. I think we're the industry. I feel like we're missing that. And folks that are a little bit later in their career, they had that opportunity to do, like, get on the lines and do things with their hands. And I think we're so quick to just do a figurative or theoretical engineering, we kind of miss out. um,
Hmm.
and I think folks who do that, it's again gaining experience that's going to set you apart from the crowd. Everyone can engineer using Chat GPT. I hate to say AI is it's a big topic, and we're always kicking around, will it replace engineers? And that you hear it. Um, I think all that's well and good. You just have to be able to answer the right questions. But how do you get that experience to get the right questions asked and answered? You need that hands-on experience. You need to get out there on the lines and go see things and go do things and challenge. Go to suppliers. Go start making product yourself. Go cut a box. Go get an exact knife. Go do those things. I don't know how many
Hmm.
kids rely on. I say kids. I say that loosely, but RDOs will do it for me. No, do not take a board and go do it yourself. And the lessons you learn are just again invaluable, because then from how things work from a real engineering perspective. Like, go build a shed, go build a garden, physically swing a hammer. It changes you. It really does, for the better. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
I love that piece, that nugget. That's It applies at work, it applies at
And
school, it applies everywhere. Dig in, do it your best, and good things will come. And
absolutely.
that's valuable stuff. So, Lauren, thank you so much for giving me this almost hour of your life. It's been a great look into the packaging co-op and into your career. Anybody who's looking to get in contact with Lauren, we will include some links and such in the description outside the episode. But I think that'll do it for Packaging Speaks today. Thanks so much, Lauren, again for joining us.
Thank
I
you.
look forward to talking to you again in the future.
Sounds good. Thank you, Christian.
You got it.